Hey again everybody, well call me Mr. Broadstreet back with another video. So this video is showing day one of the fest. This shows me landing, a little tour of the hotel room. Also what you're going to see in this video is basically a historian's panel about Free as a Bird, Real Love Now and Then, and the end of Beatles history, ? This panel was with Susan Ryan, Andy Nichols, it was with Janet Davis, also with Caitlin Larkin as well. So it was a really interesting panel. Everybody enjoy. I'll see everybody in the next video, and just remember, please keep sending those likes and subscribes. I appreciate it. Now on to the show.
JetBlue, welcome to New York City's JFK.
Okay folks, here we are. I have checked into the room number 382, and there we go. So here's what we have right here. The hangar. Got a nice little bar area right there. Not bad at all. Looks like a nice little refrigerator. Got the bathroom right here. So this is what the conditions are like at the TWA airport at the room I'm in. Room 382 for the record. I've just arrived. This is Thursday as I'm recording this. So day 0 of Beatle Fest. Fest for Beatles fans. Whatever they're calling it now. Kind of nice. Not bad right here. You got the mirror. Hey, who is that guy? Yes. I've got the Broadstreet jacket, of course. Had to bring it along. So, I'm going to do a little scan of the room here. We'll go ahead and set up something right here. I'll go ahead and scan around. As you can see, we've got a mirror. We've got a nice TV there. These blinds open and they close. I've already tested those out. Go ahead and go through. Who's that strange person? Ignore them. So I guess you can put your recyclables there. The TV, there's a nice retro telephone, retro lounge there. I'll use that later to call Don Draper, see if I can get more on my business account. There we go. Kind of nice, and then kind of nice right here too. We'll go ahead and focus on those in a second. These are some nice posters right here. Yep. Kind of nice right here. Let's go ahead and zoom in on those. So we got Egypt, and Paris, and Disneyland. And like I said, not too great of a view, if I'm being honest. It's kind of the 3rd floor, so it's not super great. But I'll go ahead and show you how those close down as well. In fact, we'll go ahead and do that right now. If I back up a little bit, or a little bit more, since I am a one-camera person operation. There we go. All right. Go ahead and show you how these close down. So, Mr. Bond, I expect you to talk. I really expect you to talk. Dramatic pause. You know, if it were James Bond, he could escape by now. He could probably just go through these windows. No problem. No problem at all. Yeah, they don't quite close evenly, but kind of a cool little effect anyways. Yeah, see, he could have escaped just right underneath there. Him and Indiana Jones. So there you go. And there we finally go. All right, so that may be a little bit off of its kilter, if you will, whatever you want to call it. But kind of a nice little effect anyways. So you get to see the room a little bit better. That's pretty much it.
that's late-age capitalism. The main reason I bring up late-stage capitalism is because it's an entirely different milieu under which it has been done and an entirely different environment. We could talk about the end of Beatles history as it is of that period, and then we could say that everything that's come out since then is under an entirely different model. So we could technically say it's the 2.0 version.
I guess. Yeah, that's an interesting concept, I think. So, Janet, and what about you?
Yeah, talking about real love and freedom.
Talk right into this.
I'm going to just invite us all to step back for a minute, because from 1970 to 80, we can remember that one of the biggest questions and discussions was, are the Beatles going to get back together again? And of course, in those years, they did not. One of the things I looked at was Newsweek's coverage of the 1995 event. They said, waiting for the Beatles has been an international pastime for 25 years at that point, making it the longest held breath in pop history. All the other groups had had some semi-reunions, the supergroups, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, and all that sort of thing. But the Beatles had been the lone holdouts, so that when you had a song that included all four of them, it was so amazing and special for us. And absolutely, if there are four of the ex-Beatles on a song, it's a Beatles song.
I believe that as well, but I just wondered what the other panelists thought, because some people, not anybody in this room, mind you, people who are not Beatles people, we thought that's not the Beatles, that's a joke, which I've heard that from people, but they're not people that I really care to hear from. And then of course we got Free as a Bird later, which was, funnily enough, Free as a Bird first and Real Love later, I meant. I cried through the first listening of Free as a Bird, but now with hindsight of many years, I can tell you that while I like both of the songs, I like Real Love better. But it's funny because I had a lot of those tracks. There was those bootleg records of the Lost London Tapes programs. I have a whole bunch of them, and certainly had heard the demo versions of those songs for a long time because I listened to them and heard them. So they weren't unknown quantities, but they were very different than what ultimately was released. And the same thing you could say about Now and Then. And Janet gave us some information. It's lovely having a research librarian on this stand, I have to say, because she does such impeccable research to get us stuff to kind of get us going. And she said there was an interview in 1995 where Jeff Lynne talked about recording 3 tracks, and one of them was Now and Then. But the words weren't finished, and of course the technology was different. So,
in fact, I would probably be able to postulate that Now and Then should have been at the beginning of Anthology 3, considering the format that they had there. And the fact that we didn't get that, but an alternate piece, was probably because of technical issues.
Yeah, technology didn't have it.
Yeah.
the technology wasn't there at all. In fact, so jumping way forward to Now and Then, you know how they did it sort of in stages. They had the little interview, and then they had the little clip, and then they had before they actually released the song. And when we watched the little making of film on Disney Plus, and they just played that tiny little clip, and I turned to Jim and I said, shit. You know, it was just the voice quality was amazing, and I never. So the technology did not exist, and I think we're lucky in that they were able to do that with this song. It was even technology that didn't exist with the other 2 songs. So, you know, but I think we should consider ourselves lucky that technology existed for all 3 of them, that we could get them.
Of the time.
Yes, exactly. Whatever that technology turned out to be.
I wanted to ask, I'm sure Caitlin would agree, did you know Free as a Bird at all before it came out in the demo form?
I didn't know.
Same.
Not a clue.
Didn't have the bootlegs, didn't have anything, because we were younger. If you were younger, we didn't have access to the Lost Lennon tapes. Real Love we knew because it was in
Imagine John Lennon.
Yes.
That's
Which
exactly
we
what I was
knew.
just going to say.
But like, what is this Free as a Bird? Because we were just too young to know what that could be. And so like, obviously you knew, you had some semblance of knowledge of how the song goes as a demo, Susan, and because you were collectors.
I did, because
we didn't. We were like, what's this going to be?
remember, this was the early 90s, and you still had to go to a record store and buy records, and if you went to a really good record store, you could buy
Oh, yeah.
And there was, I mean, there were some stores down in Greenwich Village. I knew I had my suppliers. I also had suppliers. I can say it now. It's safe. I had suppliers here at the fest. I know they all
Way
did.
back when they were under the table.
Yeah, and
Third floor.
we all knew about the room.
Yes,
Yeah.
Right.
They used to buy mine there.
And you know, you had your supplier who got you the stuff. So yes, I mean it was a very different time because now with the internet you can find anything. So, you know, it's not the same. I don't know, there's a lot of fun seeking that stuff out, I will say. I mean, there's still part of the thrill out there. But part of the thrill was sorting through the record bins and finding something that you'd never seen before. And then it was kind of like, wow, what is this? And then looking at it, going, this is not an official release. Ooh, I'm buying this.
And you had to fork about $30 for like a CD.
Yeah.
It was a record.
Yeah, it was a record.
then.
Or
the records weren't even-
the illicit CD.
The records weren't even very expensive. I think I was paying somewhere between $15 and $20 for those albums. They weren't at that point. There were so many of them that they weren't expensive. You know, when I was first a fan in the late '70s, that was, you know, they were very expensive and very hard to get and very bad quality. Things improved. So, does anybody else? I mean, on the panel, you know. There's a whole bunch of, well, I don't know, I mean, does anybody want to talk about some of the material, the quotes that we have here, or that because there's some stuff about, in the New York Times this year, there were some quotes about the last song with contributions from all four Beatles, but they called it, it's not a grand finale, it's a wistful postscript. And then there's another quote here that says, "It frees a bird in real love, Lennon sang about connection, but now and then copes with separation, one that has now been made final by mortality. The song can't compare to the music the four Beatles made together in the 60s, but all it can do is remind the listeners of a synergy, musical and personal, that's now lost forever." That's, in those terms, yes.
I think that's why it hits so emotionally for so many people.
Yeah.
Because I don't think unless there's something out there that none of us know about, which I think all of us here in this room are pretty well versed in, we know what's going on. Unless they decide to randomly release Carnival of Light, which will never happen. But I know that they kept, you know, booking this as the last Beatles song. Because, well, it is.
Yeah, I think
It
is.
ties up a major loose end because, as we know, during the 1995 releases, they kept talking about this third song, which, I don't know, we didn't know what to do with it. Now, we're all going to want to know what that was, and we all want to hear that, unless it was Carnival of Light. But my point is, we knew it existed, and we're lucky we waited long enough for them to be able to really make it an actual song that works.
Yeah. I think we are very lucky that we got it, but it's interesting because I don't know if anybody else has had a discussion like this with other people. I had a discussion with my son, who's 25 and a Beatles fan from pre-birth. We were talking, and he came out and he just said to me, "Well, what do you think of the new Beatles song?" I didn't expect it was going to come out of his mouth. That was like weird, but because he doesn't talk about that kind of stuff normally. And I said to him, you know, I'm glad it was released. It's nice to have. He wanted to know what I thought about it song-wise. And I didn't want to go there because I didn't want to give him any ideas to say things to me. But I'm wondering what other people thought. Like, what do you think of it in terms of we got it and it's great and we know what it is. Do you think it's wonderful? Do you think it's okay? What do you think about it? You know,
Show of hands.
yeah.
Which one?
Well, and we're talking about. I'm sorry, we're talking about Now and Then, but
I think it's great for what it is. You can't compare it to anything that they created, but as a postscript, as you mentioned, it's exactly what it's supposed to be. It has the sentiment, it has the heartfeltness, it's all in there. Anybody kind of dissecting it as a proper Beatles song is doing it. You can't do it that way, and some people do that, and I don't think you can with this song.
I think it's not.
It's not.
But I think
But
that
people are dissecting it like it is, and you can't do that with this song.
I
It
think
also contains the universality that most really good Beatles songs contain. Is it about, you know, is it something that I can internalize? Is it really between John and Paul? And I don't know if any of you were in here for Frida's program just a couple hours ago, and she talked about her first listen to it and how her impression was that it was a gift from John to Paul.
Yeah.
And I think
Janet, you quoted this on your notes, and it was from the New York Times review. Beatles, about now and then, that they're vehicles for the transmission of feelings too powerful for normal speech. And that's it.
And I think every Beatles song, that's what makes this a Beatles song.
Correct.
Because we all have that emotional connection with it in some way, and it hits deep. When you're the kind of person who comes to Beatlefest, and I still call it Beatlefest because I'm old, when the convention formerly known as Beatlefest, whatever, when you're the kind of person that comes here, this kind of stuff resonates with you in a way it doesn't resonate with a casual fan. You know, people who are just like, the Beatles are okay, might have a nice day at a fest, but they aren't going to come to a panel like this. They aren't going to understand the deep emotional tie that we all have to this, and regardless of age, because we're all different ages on this panel. So, yes, it is the quote that Andy said, a vehicle for transmission of feelings too powerful for normal speech, has been true of so many Beatles songs, and everybody's got their favorite that hits them right there. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's those average listeners that are the ones that are comparing now and then to, well, it's no a day in the life. It's like, that's not what it's supposed to be. But you have those people that are doing that. It's like, oh, well, it's not I want to hold your hand. And it's like, come on.
I can say that, thank goodness, my son did learn something from me, and he's not one of those people. No, he felt something with it, but he wanted my opinion before he told me. You know, going back to the previous, the topic of the panel that we kind of said, do you think that this is the end of Beatles musical history? Do you think, or do you think there will be something?
No. The reason I say that is that I've been in a number of different panels, and more than once has been brought up the fact that the tapes for the Hamburg show have actually been finding their way through things that there's some rumors that Peter Jackson's gotten his hands on it.
He does.
But he does.
I believe he does have it. Yes.
Okay, so at that point you can use the machine learning algorithms again in order to bring us up a wonderful Star Club show. We should also point out that we were talking about the footage that for promoting Now and Then, and the fact that it included HD upgraded footage from Anthology. Because back in 1995 they didn't have that.
30th anniversary set.
Okay. Is there anybody here?
Come on, Kayla, you have pull.
Okay.
I have no
Caitlin, you're thinking too little. Yes, I mean, they could conceivably re-clear the rights in order to get that back again. I mean, God knows Disney's on their side now. But the fact that there were also bits from that where music was done, including a couple of songs we see pieces of in the original, it's not hard to imagine that there is other material that is there that could be made into a new EP that comes out of this. We will probably have Beatles stuff coming until such a point when the cadre that we are now, people who are in our group, are no longer part of corporate movement. I mean, there's a lot of people who are our age who are in positions of power in many S&P 500 companies. When they're all gone and new groups come out, they'll say, you know, we've been doing this for a couple of years now, maybe we can hold off. And even if they do by that point, there's probably still going to be some stuff out there that they can comb out.
There's always stuff. We know that they have stuff. You know, the stuff that they're sitting on, we wish they would release. Even stuff that we wish they didn't release Let It Be yet, did they? You know, I won't believe that that'll happen until I'm holding one in my hand at this point. Because what has it been, 40 years or something that we've been waiting for? I mean, I've given up on that.
Look, I know everyone in this room would lose their minds if they even put Thinking of Linking on a 45 and release it. All of us would buy it.
Yes.
That's a great song, though.
Yes, it is. Jan, do you have any opinions about what we've just been chatting about? I just wonder.
Things that are
Things that might be, you know, whether this is the end of Beatles history, and we don't think it is, but you might, so we'll talk about what you think.
Well, I don't know.
I didn't- I
I
don't.
certainly, I think we all hope there's some undiscovered gem or story or that sort of thing. I think in some ways I'm ready for it to be wound down because we have the two surviving Beatles who are now in their 80s. And how long can you string it out with no surviving Beatles, which I hope is not for a long time. So I don't know. I'm open to, if they put out something that's great, I'll definitely be in.
Well, even the little pieces that we got in the Get Back docuseries, where there's so many snippets of little jams that they even gave proper titles for.
I've never seen those titles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly the point. Like, they could put that on a compilation and release that, and we would all eat it up, even if it's like 15-second clips. Do it.
You notice in the credit, they put the writing credits,
Yes.
so somebody licensed them somewhere.
They had to be
Yes.
used, of
Yeah.
course, in the film, so they had to do all those publishing rights.
But who knows how much they're sitting on? Yeah, well, we all know they're sitting on something.
I think
That's
the
so
much they're
opportunity for archival stuff, it will last forever. New music, I think, probably is done, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Because, well, all right, so there we go with this. We were talking about this in the car on the way over here, that this is the last Beatles song, right? And then Paul McCartney kind of gave an interview, and he said, well, I don't know, maybe. I mean, Peter Jackson has some stuff, you know. And I don't know about anybody else, but
Let's keep in mind that the new Google camera has this feature that says you can change your history as you want at the touch of a button. Once that's out of the bag and we start accepting that, relatively embracing that as much as they do, we could conceivably have new Beatles music out of 2 notes that were found somewhere because we're willing to accept the extrapolations from some subroutine thereby.
but that wouldn't be a Beatles song. That would be a joke.
It would be, although considering how much we're willing to go in on the joke as of late.
No. I kind of wish that I wish he hadn't said that for one thing, because it's like you want to say to him, Paul, sweetie, that's enough. You know, we love you, but that's enough. And we would love it, but maybe we wouldn't, if you know what. You know, how I'm saying that, it's like, would it be a good idea? Maybe not. I want to just throw this out to if anybody has any other comments, because on this panel we try to engage you guys and we have a conversation.
Please.
So if you have anything that you want to say about what you think of these songs, yes.
I have comments. I'm going to throw out an ugly, ugly term, AI.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Just gonna go
that
Jeez, Mom.
when
That really is mom. That really is mom.
it is, yes, when Paul said that he used AI, I wanted to shoot him. I'm like, how do you go and say that? It's to me, it's not AI.
It wasn't.
No.
And I want
It's
to know
technology.
what
Yeah, he,
It's
right.
not
he
at all.
misspoke. I think he got caught up in the interview that he was giving at that time and just gave the short answer, well, we've used AI, when that's not the case.
I think Paul is key on buzzwords, and that at the time was very topical, AI, and I want to hit him for saying
I'm
that.
going to say this with no disrespect meant to Sir Paul. He's, almost 82, and AI is a nice simple term that he can say, and does he really know what it means? Probably not.
No.
And yes, I got a lot of comments from people, all of us probably did, about it's AI, it's not real, and
Well, the funny thing about, I'm sorry.
But they were always at the forefront of technology.
yes.
We don't know if they would have welcomed. Yeah, I mean, obviously we know Ringo and Paul have used auto-tune.
Of course.
So maybe they would have welcomed AI.
Yeah, but AI means something different than what they did with this, obviously, as we know that.
Right.
This was technology to separate out the voices. It wasn't AI. They did all the stuff that was going around on the internet about, oh my God, he's gonna make himself sound younger so he sounds good. He's gonna make himself sound younger so he sounds like
Well, because
John
we
did.
saw all those other videos popping up on YouTube,
Yeah.
like John Lennon sounding like Paul McCartney singing, nice,
Yeah.
that kind of crap.
So they thought it was that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen abuses of that. I mean, I sat through the video of Frank Sinatra singing Smells Like Teen Spirit. And that actually got a few thousand hits. So that's why I've got to imagine that, yeah, that's...
It was,
But now I'm curious.
it's terrifying. That's all. But that's a very good point. I wanted to smack him too.
Thank you.
I get you. I wanted to just stop. Don't do that.
Don't.
I see. Yes, back.
I was just going to say, just as a clarification, I think what Peter Jackson said, it was an AI component, because it was, the artificial intelligence was finding and separating things out.
Right.
They were teaching it, okay, this is what this person sounds like, that's what this person sounds
I
like.
mean, for
And that's
point-
how they were doing the separation, but it's not the AI that we think of.
Right.
like
Right.
I mean, for point
ChatGPT
of
or
clarification,
Bard.
machine
Yeah,
learning
well-
is a component of artificial intelligence,
Right.
but not the entirety of artificial
Smartphone does it.
Yeah.
When Siri recognizes your voice when you dictate a text.
So then, to me, sound engineering at the boards, is that going to be AI? I mean, for years, people have been manipulating vocals and music on a soundboard.
Well, it was probably an analog version of AI when George Martin sat there and made 4
Exactly.
tracks into 16. You know?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Isn't the
So-
soundtrack of love AI, where you're mixing
More or
together
less, yes.
one with the
It's
other
all-
and
Yes.
getting your own Beatles song out?
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. Yes. Over there.
What I was going to say is there's 2 possible meanings for the use of AI here. And I think a lot of people thought when he said that they used AI to like create voices that weren't there.
Right.
They might have used AI to clean up the demo to the point where they could then use that recording to make the song.
But it was interesting because Paul said that, and then I think was it Sean Lennon who had to clarify it?
Yes, Sean
You know,
Lennon
and
took to Twitter
Sean's
on a
48,
tirade.
so like there's a difference between a 48-year-old guy and an 82-year-old guy. You know?
Please don't slap me for saying this, but sometimes when Paul opens his mouth, the only answer is, okay, boomer.
You're not.
Be careful there.
It's all right.
Be careful, Tom.
I fall into that category too, though. So there you go.
Well, and then my next question for everybody is that now that we have this MAL technology and it's been used for now and then and it's beautiful, should it go back to Free as a Bird and Real Love since they didn't have that component and to clean up the Lennon vocals the way it, would sound better maybe?
Yeah, I think it's like the Star Wars thing where you get the original films.
Yeah.
And George Lucas says, no, they don't exist anymore. It's only the new stuff. No. Keep the originals, have the extra crispy version, and go, okay.
Paul
Hollywood
first.
I would
Even
love
for
to
Broad
just
Street.
have
No,
both.
yeah, I would love to have both as
Yeah.
well. I think you're absolutely right. But I also think that saying it doesn't exist anymore is ridiculous. That's,
Right. No, I meant George Lucas with that. Yeah,
But
yeah.
as Beatles people, when we know about really old stuff that they wiped, and then eventually somebody came to their senses and said, "Don't erase anything," and that's why Her Majesty is at the end of Abbey Road because they stuck it at the end of the tape. We'd rather have it than deny
Agreed.
that it exists. You were going to say?
Yes, the difference between Free as a Bird and Now and Then, to me, Free as a Bird sounds like a mix of the Traveling Wilburys meets Electric Light Orchestra meets the Beatles, the whole Jeff Lynne influence.
Right.
Yes,
on it.
absolutely.
I would love to hear a version of that which takes out a lot of that orchestrations and just hear the pure vocals, because I don't know about you, on Now and Then, the moment John starts singing on that, you're talking about crying on
yeah.
Free as a
Oh, yeah.
Bird?
Yes.
Yep.
I was in tears
Yes.
on Now and Then, sobbing.
Yes.
I never
Absolutely. No, that was yes.
Well, it's a mystery to me why they didn't put the anthology singles on the end of the remastered Blue album.
That was my
Well, I
next-
think they wanted to kind of keep the emphasis on now and then with that.